Alright, so today we're going to be learning about how light travels. And
look at all these people who want to hang out with me.
And how light travels, there are three things that you need to know. First thing is how light projects, the second thing is how light reflects, and then the third thing is how light refracts. So let's talk about projection. Okay, right now there is a projection of light from up there that is shining and bouncing off my face. Okay, and that's the reflection part, is where light shines from a source like the sun, or this light source up here, or my computer over there, or this light source right here, my iPad. Okay, these light are being projected by some kind of source. So that's the first thing that you should write down, is that light is being projected from some kind of source. Okay, the sun, the stars, this light bulb right here in my computer. The next thing you have to write down is how light reflects. So light is being projected and it travels through air, all right, or space here, and then it's going to hit my face, it's going to hit this back wall, it's going to hit this picture, all right. And what it does, it reflects after it hits a certain object. And then that's the second thing you need to write down, is actually light is being reflected. Light is going to bounce off that wall, it's going to come to my eyes, and then my eyes have this thing called a lens, and the camera also have this thing called a lens. Let me show you. Okay, the camera has this thing called a lens, like that. Our eyes have a lens that's like right there. Okay, and what's going to happen here is light is going to refract. It's going to refract. When it refracts, what happens is, all right, let me just pull up another image here. This is a lens that I've been looking at, the Olympus 12 to 100 millimeter for the Micro Four Thirds system, and all these lenses is refracting light in a way that it is going to travel through to the aperture, and then through the aperture it'll go past the shutter, and then after it passed the shutter it'll go hit the sensor. Just the same way as if light is being reflected off that wall, bouncing back, goes through my eyes, or goes through my lens of my eyes, and it's being refracted inside my eyeball membrane, okay? And then it's going to go to the back of my eyes, where the cones and the rods are picking up different colors and separating colors for me, and all the processing is done in my head. Okay, all the optic nerve takes it to my brain, and my brain processes all the different colors that the cones and rods are telling me what's dark, what's blue, what's red, what is green, what is yellow, okay, what is like light blue. So it has all different shades. Same thing with the camera. Okay, it travels through the lens, all right. After it travels through the lens by refraction, okay, that's the next thing you should write down, is refraction is like putting a straw in water, and then you see that straw bend, because when that light that you see coming through, it's like being bent through the medium of the water. So that's the best way to explain refraction, is to put your hand in water, you see it bend. Put a straw in a cup of water, you'll see it bend as well. So light is being refracted through all these different lenses in here, and then finally it goes through this thing called the aperture. All right, and I'm going to take this out, and the aperture is like this hole right here, not the back of the lens itself, but like the lens has this thing called an aperture, that is like your eyeball has a pupil, okay, and then it goes through that pupil. Same thing with the lens, it goes through the aperture, and then after it goes through the aperture, or through the pupil of the eyes, it'll go to the back of your eyeball, where it touches all the cones and rods. But for the camera, it goes through the aperture, go past the shutter that's doing this constantly, okay, letting in light, and then, and we're gonna talk about shutter later anyways, and then it finally goes through the sensor, goes to hit the sensor, and the sensor has this thing called debayer. It has like all these different layers that filters out color so that the camera can understand what colors gets through becomes red, and then what color gets through certain debayer layers will become blue, and then and green as well, and then that is what makes up all the different colors that the camera is able to process. So that's the whole process of how light travels. Light has to come from some source, like the light bulb or the sun, and then it travels, and then it bounces off this. It's called reflection. After reflection, it goes through the lens of your eye, or through the lens of the camera. It goes through the pupil, okay, or this one right here. It goes through the aperture, and then after it goes through the aperture, we don't really have a shutter. The shutter is kind of like you blinking, okay, but that might confuse you. The shutter is right before the light goes through and hits the sensor. So the shutter is like constantly doing this to let light in. All right, and that's the whole process of how light travels. Catch you in the next video.